Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and really focus on those vital, sometimes overlooked drivers of our global economy. And today, we're uncovering the hidden pulse of something many of us probably take for granted, the global tin market. Yeah, it's not just some industrial metal. It's kind of the essential glue holding together everything from your latest tech gadgets to, well, the food on your shelf. So our mission for you today is pretty clear. We're diving into the tin market's journey, starting from 2021, peering into what's expected for 2025, and then projecting its path all the way out to 2033. We'll unpack where the big growth really is, identify some of the major forces at play, and pinpoint some frankly surprising regional dynamics shaping its future. And just so you know, all the insights and figures we're sharing today, they come directly from a comprehensive analysis by Cognitive Market Research.
It's fascinating, actually, how these kinds of reports can shine a light on the quiet powerhouses of the global economy. Tin, especially, despite being so fundamental to so many things we use every day, it rarely grabs the headlines. But you look at the numbers, and they tell this really compelling story of consistent demand, and in some places, pretty explosive demand. It's not just about, raw tonnage or revenue figures either. It's about what these numbers hint at regarding the constant march of technology and those broader industrial shifts happening worldwide.
Exactly. And when we talk about technological shifts, it's not just, more smartphones, although that's part of it. Tin is becoming more and more crucial in emerging green technologies. Think perovskite solar cells, advanced solders for EVs, electric vehicles, even some next-gen battery chemistries. These are the kinds of shifts that are really underpinning this steady growth we're seeing. Makes this deep dive pretty relevant, I think. Okay, so let's zoom out first. Get the big picture. Globally, the tin market, it's seeing some remarkably solid, steady growth. Okay, the numbers. In 2021, the market pulled in revenue about $5,833.65 million. Looking ahead, it's not just treading water. It's expected to hit $6,877.2 million by 2025. And then the projection climbs even higher to an impressive $9,557.7 million by 2033. That's a really consistent upward path, right? It works out to an overall compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of 4.2%. And KGR, just quickly, it's like the smoothed out average annual growth over that whole period. Helps us compare growth consistently, gives a clear picture of the momentum.
Right. And if you connect that 4.2% global CAGR to the bigger picture, it's not just a dry statistic. It signals this really enduring and actually diversifying demand for tin across so many different applications. It strongly suggests tin is, far from becoming obsolete. Quite the opposite. It's a growing foundational element in our modern world, consistently underpinning everything from advanced electronics to, like you said, the expansion of sustainable energy stuff, that kind of steady growth for a basic material. It's usually a pretty clear indicator of robust industrial health globally.
Okay, so to really get the pulse of tin globally, we've got the overall rhythm. Now let's pinpoint the specific beats, continent by continent. Let's start with some of the more, shall we say, established markets. North America first. This region's tin market, it's a significant player. Valued at $1,942.61 million back in 2021, and it's projected to reach nearly $3 billion, $2,990.62 million by 2033. That works out to a respectable CAGR 3.6%, steady. Now, digging into North America specifically, the United States, as you'd probably guess, dominates in sheer market size, over $1.5 billion in 2021. Huge. But here's the interesting contrast. Where the U.S. market is massive, Mexico is actually powering ahead with a much higher CAGR, 5.671%. That's the highest in North America. Its revenues are projected to nearly double, going from about $164 million in 2021 to almost $315 million in 2033. That definitely points to a different kind of market energy.
And that's the key question, isn't it? Why the difference? It's a fascinating contrast. The report doesn't spell out the exact reasons, but we can, speculate a bit. Given how integrated North America's supply chains are, Mexico's surge, could it be linked to more nearshoring of electronics manufacturing? Maybe. Or maybe a boom in its automotive sector that's increasingly sophisticated now and uses a fair bit of tin. We're also seeing, across the whole continent really, a rise in sustainable packaging solutions, tin plate, right? Which relies heavily on tin's properties non-toxic, resists corrosion. These are the sorts of shifts that could explain why a country like Mexico might be outpacing a giant like the U.S. in, growth speed.
Right, it's those details, those nuances that often tell the really compelling story. Okay, from North America, let's shift focus across the Atlantic. Europe's dynamic landscape. Europe's overall tin market hit about $1.67 billion in 2021. And it's expected to climb to over $2.7 billion by 2033. That's growing at a CAGR of 4.063%. Slightly faster than North America overall. Within Europe, you've got the big industrial players like Germany, seeing steady growth, 4.227% CAGR. The UK is actually slightly ahead, 4.749%. But what's really interesting is this rest of Europe category is showing particularly strong growth. Yeah, it's outpacing the major economies with a 5.061% CAGR. That segment alone is projected to reach almost $245 million by 2033.
That really does underscore the point that growth isn't always where you'd first expect it. The rest of Europe segment doing better than the regional average. It suggests some dynamic expansion happening outside those traditional big economies. It hints at maybe specialized industrial demands or perhaps new market applications popping up in diverse, smaller European market. Could be anything, really. Niche high-tech manufacturing, specialized green energy projects needing specific tin components. It just shows you have to look closely, to find where the real momentum is.
So we've got the regional growth patterns emerging. But who are the big players, the giants, actually making these numbers move on a global scale?
That's a crucial point. While this report focuses mostly on the market value by region, it's worth remembering who's behind it. Globally, the tin market is really driven by major mining operations. Think Southeast Asia, South America, Africa. Companies like Minsoor, Yunnan Tin.
Yeah.
They're huge producers. Then on the consumption side, it's the massive electronics manufacturers. Foxcons, the Samsung supply chains, and the giants in packaging like Ball Corporation. They're the primary gears turning this market. Any shifts in their production strategies or maybe new players emerging in those sectors, that can significantly impact these projections we're seeing. It's a market with really powerful established players, but it's also quite sensitive to supply chain hiccups and, of course, technological shifts.
Good context. Okay, let's continue our journey. Asia Pacific, an absolutely significant contributor to the global tin market. No surprise there. This region's overall market was valued at nearly $1.35 billion in 2021, and it's projected to hit over $2.1 billion by 2033. That's growing at a CAGR of 3.908%. Solid, but slightly below the global average. Now, within Asia Pacific, China, naturally, leads by a significant margin, projected to reach over $738 million by 2033. Just immense manufacturing base, right? But, and this is a powerful indicator of future velocity, look at India. India shows an even stronger CAGR, 4.965%. That's nearly a full percentage point higher than China's growth rate. India's forecast to climb from about $130 million in 2021 to over $225 million by 2033.
Right. China's scale, its sheer size, naturally puts it out front. Huge manufacturing, massive exports. But India's higher growth rate, that points to significant industrial expansion happening within India. A rising domestic demand for foundational materials like tin. It suggests, rapid build-out of infrastructure, maybe consumer electronics manufacturing ramping up, a growing middle class. It definitely makes India a key area to watch closely over the next decade. It's about understanding not just the size right now, but the trajectory, the speed of change in these markets.
Okay, shifting south now. Let's explore the tin market down in South America. The overall market there stood at around $391 million in 2021, forecast to reach over $608 million by 2033. That shows a 3.746% CAGR. So slightly slower growth than Asia Pacific overall. Brazil leads the pack within South America with a 3.96% CAGR. Argentina follows pretty closely, 3.905%. But the real standout, just in terms of growth rate within the region, is Colombia. Colombia registered the highest regional CAGR at 4.24%. It's growing from about $35 million in 2021 to nearly $57 million projected for 2033.
And these figures, they demonstrate that even in regions we often view as, let's say, developing, you find specific countries showing really strong, consistent growth for raw materials like tin. Identifying these pockets, like Colombia leading the growth rate in South America, helps us pinpoint where industrial development might be accelerating. Could be local investments paying off, maybe shifts in economic focus towards, say, technology manufacturing, or even just a growing domestic demand for tin-based products. It really underlines the nuanced nature of these global market trends, even at a smaller regional scale.
Okay, now for a region that's maybe quietly but very powerfully reshaping its economic landscape, let's turn to the Middle East. Its overall market was $350 million back in 2021, projected to surge to over $606 million by 2033. That marks an impressive CAGR of 4.775%. That's a significant leap, right? Clearly outpacing the global average. Within the Middle East, Saudi Arabia makes a big contribution and shows strong growth too, 4.971% CAGR. But the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, is demonstrating the strongest growth in the entire region, a really robust 5.408% CAGR. Its revenue climbed from about $53 million in 2021 to a projected $99 million in 2033. That shows real acceleration.
Which immediately makes you wonder, right? What specific industrial developments or big infrastructure projects are going on in the Middle East, especially the UAE, that are driving such a strong uptick in tin demand? This kind of surge suggests a real diversification of their economic activity, moving beyond the traditional sectors like oil and gas. We're likely seeing significant investments in things like high-tech manufacturing, maybe advanced construction projects, perhaps even renewable energy initiatives, all of which can be pretty heavy users of tin-based components. The UAE's whole focus on becoming a global innovation hub, that certainly lines up with this kind of demand for materials.
Okay, but if you thought the Middle East was accelerating, well, prepare yourself for a market phenomenon. Our final destination, Africa. It isn't just growing, it is exploding. It's setting an absolutely unprecedented pace for the global tin market. Okay, get this. Africa's overall tin market recorded $128 million, roughly, in 2021. This is forecasted to leap to $240 million by 2025, just 4 years, and then surged further to an astounding $544 million, almost half a billion, by 2033. That translates to a truly remarkable CAGR of 10.767%. Just to put that in perspective for you, a 10, nearly 11% TAGR means Africa's tin market value is projected to double roughly every 7 years. Maybe even a bit less. Compare that to like a 3-point-something% CAGR, like we saw in the US. That implies a doubling time closer to 20-23 years. It's a fundamental difference in market speed, market velocity, and opportunity. Looking at key countries in Africa, Nigeria shows a 10.392% CAGR. South Africa, 10.628%, both incredible. But the rest of Africa segment, this is the absolute standout. It's surging ahead at an unbelievable 11.763% CAGR.
That is the highest growth rate across all the regions and countries mentioned in this entire report. Its revenue is projected to increase almost fivefold, from about $26 million in 2021 to over $125 million by 2033. Just wow.
It's truly exceptional, isn't it? The sheer velocity of growth across Africa, and particularly in that rest of Africa segment. An 11.763% CAGR is, well, it's phenomenal. You don't see that often with established materials. It speaks volumes about rapid industrialization, doesn't it? Perhaps an explosion in demand for consumer electronics in these emerging economies, and significant infrastructure development, too, which obviously relies on foundational materials like tin. This represents a really significant shift in global resource consumption patterns. It clearly indicates where future global economic activity and demand for materials are rapidly expanding. It suggests these regions aren't just importing finished goods anymore, but they're quickly building their own manufacturing capacity, their own consumption capabilities.
So, okay, let's pull it all together. What does this actually mean for us, the curious learners trying to make sense of the global economy? This deep dive into tin, it paints this diverse and incredibly dynamic global picture. We see the mature regions, North America, Europe. They're maintaining steady, predictable growth. They provide stability to the market. Meanwhile, the Middle East is clearly accelerating, signaling some pretty significant industrial shifts happening there. And then Africa. Africa is truly leading the charge in terms of expansion rates, just showcasing incredible potential and rapid development that honestly could reshape global trade flows in the coming years.
Absolutely. It confirms that while those established markets provide the stability, the volume, the real dynamism, the future growth opportunities, they often lie in these emerging hubs. Understanding these regional differences, these discrepancies, is just crucial for anyone tracking global economic shifts, resource demand, and for recognizing where new industries, new consumer bases are quickly forming. It helps paint a much clearer picture of global development, I think. It reveals that economic gravity is subtly but powerfully shifting around the world.
What a journey through the world of tin. It's such a clear example of how looking at these specific numbers for even a seemingly basic material can reveal powerful global economic shifts happening right before our eyes. Far beyond the daily headlines, it really makes you realize how interconnected everything is and how constantly our world is evolving. So thank you for joining us on this fascinating deep dive.
And it leaves us with an important question to ponder, doesn't it, for all of us? If tin, which is a fundamental industrial metal, is showing such explosive growth in Africa, what other foundational materials might be experiencing similar, maybe quieter, revolutions in unexpected corners of the globe? Revolutions that are just waiting for us to uncover them. It encourages us to look beyond the obvious, I think, and explore those underlying economic currents that are truly shaping our future.
Indeed. A great thought to end on. And remember, all the robust data and insightful projections we shared today were sourced from Cognitive Market Research. Until next time, keep digging, keep learning, and stay well informed.